Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. Are you ready for your announcements? We hold a 30-minute midday meditation in our sanctuary Monday through Thursday at noon. Join us for this silent meditation time, a time to pause and center down in the middle of your day. Please feel free to drop in for this sacred practice in person or energetically wherever you are. Also, our practitioners hold a 15-minute meditation in our sanctuary at 9:30 a.m. every Sunday. Today is Free Cycle after service. There's no need to trample anyone. Just make your way to our fellowship hall and browse all the great stuff that's available to you for free. Are you curious about who our practitioners are and what do they do to support you? Is there an area of your life that you want transformed, celebrated? Then join us for 5-Minute Miracle next Sunday right after service. You get to spend 5 minutes with each practitioner to tell them what is in your heart and mind. You will get an affirmative prayer and a chance to experience them personally. The practitioners are here to hold the truth for you and serve CLF with their consciousness. The next 13-week cycle of the Transformational Power of Grief, facilitated by David Rosh, starts up on Thursday, April 2nd at 6:30 p.m. This is a Banner Hospice Grief Recovery Program that offers a step-by-step approach to healing from loss. It addresses death, divorce, as well as other significant emotional losses and life transitions. During each module, participants learn tools enabling them to regain a sense of meaning, even though life is different after the change. Sign up in our Wisdom Center bookstore. Spring Fling is coming up on Saturday, April 4th at 1:30. Please mark your calendars. Eat your lunch and then join us for desserts, snacks, and beverages. There will be all sorts of exciting activities like a fun skit, an Easter egg hunt, Peter Pan's treehouse to climb in, and fairies, the Easter Bunny, Tinkerbell, and a drum circle. This event may be geared for children, but the adults seem to have just as much fun. Neverland is our theme, and costumes are encouraged. Wings and ears are also available for your use. If you would like to volunteer for this event, please see Leo Holtzman. It doesn't matter what the question is. Hummus is always the answer. So now that you have the key to pass every life test out there, come join Jeannie Sovereigns on Tuesday nights in April. Share everyday experiences of triumph over the mundane as you deepen your spiritual experience with the magic of humor, hugs, hope, and hummus. Class starts April 7th at 6:30 p.m., and in this class, snack time is part of your grade. Our Good Friday service is Friday, April 10th at noon. This important tradition at CLF is a time to reflect on all of the words or phrases that are compiled from the Bible's 4 Gospels. The 7 last words of Christ on the cross are not words but phrases said to have been uttered by Jesus during the time of his darkest moments of crucifixion. We have all had those times that we are seemingly bearing the cross or burdens, and we know through our science of mind principles that these times are the best times for transformation, for growth, resurrection, and renewal. Learn from this valuable service how we can gain a new perspective on difficulties and how to transform from those dark moments. And that's it for today's announcements. Well, actually, not quite. We actually have a public service announcement for you. Here's some information about the coronavirus. This virus is spread in large droplets by coughing and sneezing. This means that the air will not infect you, but all the surfaces where these droplets land are infectious for about a week on average. Everything that is associated with infected people will be contaminated and potentially infectious. This virus only has cell receptors for lung cells, so it affects your lungs. The only way for the virus to infect you is through your nose or mouth via your hands or an infected cough or sneeze onto or into your nose or mouth. And the following info is from the CDC and are good practices for more than just dealing with the coronavirus. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after you've been in a public place or after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Do like we tell the kids to do, sing the alphabet song while washing your hands. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. We touch our mouth and face about 90 times a day without even realizing it. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow. Throw used tissues in the trash. Please do not put them in the pew pockets or leave them on the seats. Wear a face mask if you are sick and around other people. You do not need to wear a face mask unless you are caring for someone who is sick. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily. And just so you know, we had the sanctuary and the campus disinfected this week. If surfaces are dirty, clean them. Use detergent or soap and water prior to disinfection. Now, as far as our meet and greet goes during our congregational song, let me be very clear about this, because last week when I had the universal symbol for no on the handshaking, it seemed to encourage everybody to handshake more frequently. So let's be very clear. Handshaking, no. No to the handshaking. So if you want to greet each other, do your fist bump, your elbow bump, a little hip bump, namaste. Hugs are even okay too. Just, don't cough and sneeze in each other's faces. And if you're sick, don't hug. So again, let's move on to our regular program with the congregational song. With a brief, greet your neighbor. Always be mindful of those that wish to refrain from a hug. So if you'll please stand for today's congregational song, God in Everything.
And here are some additional guidelines. Today we're not going to meet and greet by hugging or touching in any way. What we're going to do is something totally different. We're going to meet each other with intimacy in a way that we don't usually do. We usually rush up and hug somebody and then rush and hug somebody else and rush and namaste, and then we shake hands or whatever the case may be. And today I want us to be very, very contemplative, very, very reflective, very, very deliberate in greeting each other with eye contact. Eye contact is the most intimate way that we can greet each other. So we can do a namaste, we can put our hands to our hearts, we can smile and make eye contact in greeting each other, but we won't touch each other today. So I invite you to take a deep breath, and let's sing our congregational song with gusto, God in Everything, and then we'll really, really greet each other with intimacy and love. Thank you.
I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God as everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God as everything. I choose joy, I choose choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God as everything. No joy, I know peace. I know goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God as everything. Eye contact. I choose joy, I choose peace. I choose goodness surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. I choose joy, yes, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God as everything. Choose God as everything. I choose God as everything.
Good morning. Welcome to Creative Living Fellowship. How was that? How was that? Did you feel like you connected in a different kind of way? Yeah. And you connected in a different kind of way, even though you missed your hugs, right? I am the Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary. I'm the senior minister here at Creative Living Fellowship. It is my honor, my pleasure to welcome you here with us this morning. We are a religious science church and teaching center, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. Our vision is to be a community of care, connection, and creation that opens hearts and incubates dreams through the principles and practices of the science of mind. One of our practices here is holding the high watch or holding vigil, which means that there are practitioners who are sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, just holding a space for us to move through whatever it is that we may be moving through individually, and for this service, the perfect unfolding of this service. They just sit in meditation and just hold that space for whatever happens here and for the unfoldment of this service today. Those practitioners are the Reverend Dr. Joyce Buchers and Diana Darrell. They're both practitioners, and I thank you both for your service here today. Let's take a breath. Let's welcome our live streamers. I think there are quite a few people watching us online this morning. Welcome, live streamers. Wherever you are, we're happy that you're joining us this morning. In the booth in the back, we have Luis Morales and Cindy Green. Thank you for your service today. Is there anyone here visiting us for the first time today? If you would stand or raise your welcome. If you would stand or raise your hand, you don't have to say anything. We'd just like to welcome you here. And our ushers will be greeting you, and there will be a gift for you in the foyer after the service is over. We welcome you here. We have a special message that we give to our first-time guests, and all you have to do is just sit back and receive that. Let's all together now. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, whatever brought you through our doors today, we welcome you here into our hearts. Namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word that means the God in me recognizes the God in you. And that's what we had an opportunity to do with namasteing today and making eye contact today rather than the traditional hugs that we generally do in the handshakes. So we welcome you here. We know that you had a lot of options today, and we're happy that you chose to come and spend this time with us today. Let's take a breath together again. The theme for the year, as a reminder, is life is for living, just say yes. Yes! Oh, okay. Thank you. Life is for living, just say yes. And this month of March, our theme is finding God in everything. Finding God in everything. And that's what we are doing here today, right here and right now. Reverend Christopher Guru Karam Gallagher is going to bring us a wonderful gong wash. And there'll be a few moments of silence after the gong wash. And then practitioner Fran Peck will bring us the reading and the evocation. I invite you to really listen to the words of the reading today and take them into your minds, take them into your hearts, and allow them to just be a part of your consciousness as you listen.
What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. The reading is from Pandemic by Lynn Unger. And so as we take the words of this reading into our hearts, breathing, feeling that breath, knowing that that breath is the God that breathes us, knowing that that life is the source of our being. That life is the source of my being. And knowing that, I know that it is the source of all. One power, one presence, one love, one peace. And so from this place of knowing, I speak my word of blessing over this service, over this congregation, for everyone here today, knowing that they receive that for which they have need. I bless Reverend Dr. Sherry's message, knowing that it is divinely inspired. I send special blessings out across this nation and across this planet, knowing that God is. Right here in the midst, God is. And so with profound gratitude and thanksgiving for this word spoken, for the perfect manifestation of this service, I simply release my word into the law, knowing that as I do, it is already done in the mind of God. I release, I know, I release and let go. And together we say, and so it is.
Were heavy, I could not fly, haunted by dreams that were meant to come true. Love was there, I could not see it, so the voice of salvation came shining through you, and you said, God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. In the sky of my life, my lightning and thunder, I could not trust it could finally be right. The truth in your eyes said, don't worry, don't wonder. You sang me your song that would shatter the lie. And you said, God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. Like the shepherd, you pulled me through. When my heart was troubled, I didn't know what to do. Your compassion planted a seed in my life. Now the flowers in me all the time I'm singing. All the time I'm singing. God is all there is. God is all there is ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. Oh, God is all there is. Come on, sing it. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever. Oh, God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. Come on, sing it. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. If your wings are heavy, you cannot fly. Haunted by dreams that were meant to come true, God is right there. You just have to see it. Let the voice of salvation come shining through you, and we sing in God is all there is. God is all there will ever be.
That's Charity Lockhart. Thank you, Charity. Just what we need today. Thank you, God's in the House Band. David Panessa is our music director. Dr. Dan Stotz on bass guitar. Ed Davis on lead guitar. And Dave Sanderson on drums. Whew, let's take a breath. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Charity. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. That's all we ever need to know. That's our affirmation as we walk through this time. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. Let's breathe that in. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. Our theme for the month, as you know, is finding God in everything. And this little book, there was a reading from this book that inspired the theme for the month. It's called How to Find God in Everything. And I haven't mentioned it before because we didn't have it in. Now we have just a few copies. So if you'd like to stop and pick up one in the bookstore, it's a great little book, How to Find God in Everything. And just thinking of finding God in everything, I always say, is a revolutionary way of living. Particularly now, would you say? With all the stuff that's going on, how to find God in everything, finding God in everything, committing ourselves to finding God in everything, knowing that God is in everything. Revolutionary. And that's what we are, revolutionaries and evolutionaries. We are evolving ever to a higher place, to a higher consciousness. And so finding God in everything is a part of that evolution. And now, as I said, going through the challenging times that we're going through right now is a time for us to go deeper and a time for us to be willing to live a revolutionary and an evolutionary life. And so that's what we are doing when we're saying God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. We've been looking at different ways to find God in everything throughout the month, and today we're looking through the portals of authenticity. Through the portal of authenticity, a portal being an entranceway, a doorway. Finding God in everything through the portals of authenticity, the act of being genuine, the act of being real, the act of being true. And the authenticity for us is coming back to the truth of what we know, the truth of what we believe, the truth of who we are. It's what we're doing in our finding God in everything throughout this time. Let's take a breath. The core of our teaching, of our belief system, is in the oneness of life. That there's only one life, there's only one power, there's only one presence, there's only one mind, there's only one breath, there's only one activity, there's only one. And that one is God. Yet all that we hear around us right now is separation. Words of separation. Words of separation, social distancing, otherness, blame, no touching, no hugging, staying 6 feet away from each other, and all that kind of stuff. No handshakes, and all that. That all sounds like separation. That all sounds like you over here, me over here, you over there. But you know what? We don't have to be connected. We don't have to be touching in the physical body to be connected. We don't have to touch in the physical body to be a part of that one, because that one just is. That one is in and through and as each one of us. And that's where we are connected in the one. And that's what we have to keep in mind, that we are connected in the one. And so rather than getting into that sense of separation and complaining about the fact that we don't hug the way we did, we don't shake hands the way we did, our lives are changing. You know how resistant we are to change. Our first response to change is freak out. Right? Freak out. Yeah, that's a song, isn't it? That's our response to change, freak out. I know for me it is sometimes. It's like, yeah. And you know what? We have to take a deep breath and realize that change is always happening. Change is always happening. If it were not, we could not survive. We could not live without change. As much as we resist it, as much as we don't like it. And what we have to learn to do is to be who we are, to be our authentic selves, and to go back to the authenticity of our belief in our teachings whenever there's change, and particularly drastic change that seems to be upon us right now. Bless you. And so we stay in that place of knowing the truth. We stay in that place of being true to what we believe. We stay in that place of knowing that there's oneness no matter what appears to be happening around us. We stay in that place of knowing that we can always see beyond the appearances to the truth, by knowing the truth, by practicing what we know. By practicing what we know. And so as we go through these days of uncertainty in the factual world, in our everyday world, it is time for us to take a deep breath and to really stand in what we know, stand in what we believe, stand in what the truth is, and know that there is one thing that is certain, and that's God, always. There's one thing that is changeless, and that is God, always. And when we stand in that, when we keep returning to that, and sometimes we have to return to it over and over and over and over and then over again, and then another time, because so much happens so fast that we can get caught up and forget. I don't care how spiritual we may think we are. I don't care how spiritual, how much we know, we can still get caught up in race consciousness and race belief, and we can get caught up in mass hysteria if we're not careful, if we're not mindful. And so I'm inviting you, as I've talked for the entire month, about returning to love, return unto love, letting go of the fear, letting go of the fear. And any actions that we take, we are taking them out of love, not out of fear. And so our change in our way of greeting each other here during the meet and greet today is not from a place of fear. It's from a place of love. It's from a place of honor, from a place of respect, from a place of sensibility and wisdom, as we talked about before, of doing those things that we have to do and that are necessary for us to do as we live in a world of facts, because we do live in a world of facts. And that does not dispute or negate the truth that we know. But living in a world of facts, there are certain changes that we need to make. And so we make those changes as openly and willingly as we possibly can. We make those changes with as little resistance as we possibly can. We make those changes with an open heart as much as we possibly can. And then we continue to walk through our lives. And as we do that, those who walk the way with us learn how to do it in the way that we do. We set the example in walking, because we're walking our talk. We're walking our walk, and we're walking our talk. Well, we can say what we believe all day. We can say that God is all there is all day. But until we start walking that, and particularly walking that in difficult times, do we really know that? Do we really know that? Is that really authenticity on our part to walk through saying God is all there is and then be racing to get all the toilet paper in the store? We know that there's no toilet paper in Phoenix right now. So one of the things we have to do that's a part of the freak out, yes. But one of the things that we have to do is just, to recognize we don't want to get into that energy. We don't want to get into that energetic of not enough, because the fact that I walked into the grocery store Friday, I think it was, and it was the first time I'd been in that particular store in a couple of months. And I walked through and looked at all the empty shelves, and I was like, wow. I had heard this was the case, but I didn't really believe it, I guess, because I was so surprised when I saw it. And then they had signs up saying that people would be limited to the number of certain items that they could purchase. And I thought, wow, this is what a consciousness of lack looks like. This is how lack and limitation and a consciousness of lack and limitation plays out. When you walk into a store and all these shelves are empty, I mean, how much toilet paper do we need? I think that I'm kind of focused on that because I've heard so many people talking about it lately, and so many people have told me about it lately that it's on my mind that the toilet paper shelves are empty. And what I'm really saying is that this is really from a consciousness of fear, because anytime we start hoarding and we got to have more and we got to get all that we can and all this, that's from a consciousness of lack. And the consciousness of lack comes from a consciousness of fear. Fear that there's not enough. Fear that there's not enough to go around. And no, there won't be enough to go around if you're taking it all. And what we know to be true is that there's always enough to go around. There's always enough. There's always been enough. The issue in our world has been one of distribution. One of distribution. That's what creates the apparent lack, is how we distribute whatever it may be. It could be money, it could be toilet paper, it could be anything. It's a matter of distribution. And when we get into that place of hoarding, distribution is blocked. And when distribution is blocked, there appears to be lack, and all that happens from a place of fear. And that fear comes up from a lack of authenticity in our lives, from not practicing what it is we say we believe, not practicing what it is we say we know. The life that we want, the life of oneness that we say we want to live in, that we say we live in, that we say we believe in, that belief that God is all that there is. Let's take a breath. Moving out of that place of fear, moving out of that place of lack, moving out of that place of not enoughness, moving out of that place of separation, because all those feelings come from separation, from a belief in separation, from a sense of separation. And our first place of separation that gets us in deep, deep trouble is our sense of separation from God. And anytime challenges like those that we're experiencing right now come up, the first place we go is to, where's God in all this? Where's God in all this? God's where God always is. God is. In the midst of all this that's going on, God is. And the thing for us to do is to connect with that. Whatever it takes for us to connect with that, whatever it takes for us to align with that, is where our work is. To align with the all that is. We have the tools, we have the principles, we have the guidance right here in this community to align ourselves with the all that is, to move ourselves from that place of fear, from that place of doubt, from that place of anxiety, from that place of mass hysteria that is extremely contagious, that is extremely creative. Extremely creative. Fear is contagious. Fear is creative. Hysteria is contagious. Hysteria is creative, because what it helps us to do is to create that which we do not want. But that to which we are giving our attention is what is creative. And so, yes, God is all there is. And you know what? When we are so focused on one thing and giving all our attention to it, all our thought to it, all our talk to it, all our everything to that one thing, that becomes the God of our life. And then that becomes the all that is. That to which we give our attention, our focus, our everything, our energy, our emotions, and everything becomes the God of our life. And the God of our life becomes the all that is in our lives. But what we know to be the truth, when we can return to our center, when we can return to the truth that we know, when we can return to our own awareness of our oneness, of the truth, of there being only one life, and that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of that one life, and that we live and move and have our being in that one life just as it lives and moves and has its being in us. That does not change. That does not change. That does not change. And so what I invite us to do right now is to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and return to the truth that we know. And as the reading was saying, I really like that poem. Someone sent it to me last night. It's called Pandemic. And what if we treated this like a sacred time? What if we treat this like a sacred time? A time to turn within, a time to really go deep, a time to return to the truth that we know and to the practices and the principles that we know. What if we made this a sacred time? This time of, some people are calling isolation, some people are quarantine, those separation words. What if we just called it Sabbath? What if we just called it Sabbath? Sabbath. Stepping back, turning within, going deep, doing our prayer work, doing our meditation, doing our reading, doing our journaling, doing those things that bring us back home to the presence of God. Those things that remind us of who we are. Those things that remind us of what we know. Those things that remind us of the truth that we are. What if we take this time to go deeper and to go deeper and to go deeper? You know, as we go through this time of not touching or not being too close or whatever the case may be, and who knows what the days ahead will bring for us, but as we go through this time, in addition to seeing what appears to be separation, I've been looking at how interconnected and how interdependent we all are. We are all interdependent. We are all interconnected. What affects one affects all. When the schools close, it doesn't just affect the kids and the teachers and the parents of kids. What about the bus drivers? And what about the people who work at the schools other than that? And what about people who were keeping kids? Or what about people who had jobs and can't go to them because they have kids at home? Or whatever the case may be, it affects everybody. It affects everybody. When flights are canceled, it's not just affecting the flight crew and the people who are going to be passengers on that plane. It affects people who work at the airports. It affects people who work in other places. It affects people all over the place. It affects all of us. It affects all of us. The cruise industry is not just affecting the people who didn't get to go on that cruise. My niece lives in Alaska, small port town in Alaska. And she has 2 businesses there. Her husband has a business. And they depend on the cruise ships coming in. Because this is cruise season. It's coming up. And so they have been dependent, that town, on the cruise ships coming in. And the people coming in buying, and the people coming in spending money, and whatever the case may be. There was a time when she lived in Phoenix, and so she would go to Alaska in April, and she'd come back in September. And she'd go back to Alaska and come back. Every year she was doing that. And then she decided to move to Alaska full time. And so when they moved and things started to really boom, then she opened 2 businesses. Her husband has a business. And now the cruises are being canceled. And so that entire town is affected by the cruises in the lower states. Thank you, lower 48. The decisions not to have the cruise, not to let the cruise ships go out. So they're all affected by that. And then people all along that, not just in that town, all the port cities. And the people who work on the ships, and people who, it just goes on and on and on. And the point that I'm making about this is the interconnectedness, the interdependence, that what affects one of us affects all of us. And I think that we have to keep that in mind as we go through this time. As we go through this time, to recognize that there is oneness. This is how the oneness shows up too. There is oneness. It affects all of us. It affects all of life. And so when we can just remain in our place of compassion, in our place, in addition to knowing the truth for everybody, that there is enough to go around, that God is in the midst of everything, and letting our prayer be for health and wholeness and wellness, revealing itself in each and every life, everywhere, and to knowing that truth is revealing itself everywhere. That's how we are finding God in everything. That's how we are knowing that God is revealing Himself in everything, and that's how we are evoking that presence of God in everything. That's our responsibility as we go through this time. In addition to recognizing our interconnectedness and our interdependence, just really setting our intention each and every day to be a beneficial presence wherever we go and whatever we do. Setting our intention, let that be your prayer, to be a beneficial presence wherever you go and whatever you do. Be a beneficial presence. How can I be a beneficial presence in this situation? How can I be a beneficial presence right here and right now? When I took my second ordination vows, that was my vow at that time, to be a beneficial presence everywhere I go and in everything that I do. And I think of that over every day. That's a commitment I make every day, to be a beneficial presence everywhere I go and in everything I do. And it's a commitment I'm encouraging you to make, to be a beneficial presence. If the words that you are about to speak are not going to be of benefit, don't speak them. If the thoughts that you are thinking are not of benefit to all, and for the highest good of all, think another thought. Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change all of life. Change your thinking, change your life. This is what our basic teaching is. Change your thinking, change your life. Because when we change our thinking, we'll change our words, and our actions will change also. That's how we get to be a beneficial presence. And staying in the moment. Staying in the moment and recognizing that this action that I'm taking right now, who does this benefit? How is this benefiting? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves over and over again. And so, going back to the hoarding things at the grocery store, staying in the moment, being mindful, doing what is before you to do. When we are in the moment, doing what is before us to do, we recognize that we can't use all that TP. Staying in the moment, doing what is before us to do, we can just take one roll at a time. And that leaves enough for everybody. And so I encourage you to really, really, really set your intention to be a beneficial presence wherever you go. This morning before I left home, I had the TV on to my Sunday morning show, CBS Sunday Morning, and there was a story of a woman who had MS, who lived by herself. She was a middle-aged woman, and she had gotten to the place where she could not get herself in and out of her bed and take care of herself. And one day her neighbor, a man who was a neighbor, showed up with a list for her. And he had a list of 60 men who were neighbors, who wanted to help her, who wanted to take care of her, and to help her to be able to stay in her house, because otherwise she would have had to go into a nursing home. And so it was such a shock to her that all these people, and particularly men, wanted to help her. And so what they would do is they go to her house. 2 of them were signed up to go to her house every evening and get her from her wheelchair into her bed. And then, because she has to have pillows under her legs and different things have to happen for her to be comfortable in her bed. But she just couldn't do that by herself. But every day, 2 men go by, and they lift her from her chair, put her in her bed, make sure she's comfortable, lock her house up, and then they leave. And she has 2 sons who come in the morning, and then they get her dressed and get her up and all that. But the point I'm making is that these 60 men have been doing this for 10 years. For 10 years. Every day, they show up. Every day, they show up in the evenings and help her to help get her into bed and all that. And they say that the only thing they don't do is the kiss goodnight. But they make sure she's undressed. They make sure she's ready for bed. They make sure she gets to bed. And there was one man who said that he really didn't want to do it at first, but he didn't want it to seem like he wasn't a good guy, that he wasn't a good person, but that wasn't something that he wanted to do. He said he had no nurses training, no caregiver training, none of that, and this certainly was not something that he wanted to do, but everybody else agreed to do it. And he's been doing it almost 10 years now, because that's what's before him to do, and that's how he became a beneficial presence. That's how he continues to show up as a beneficial presence in his community, and God only knows where else. Because it has opened his heart. It has opened him up in a way that he could connect with someone else. And so that's what we all have the opportunity to do. Yes, there's this appearance of separation, this appearance of isolation, but we can still connect with each other, even if we are in our homes, even if it comes to a time where we have to stay inside, where we have to shelter in place. We all know how to text, right? We all know how to text. We all know how to check in on each other. Use your phone for texting. Use your phone for sending photos to people or FaceTiming with people. Use your phone to call. You know, you can do a phone call, talk on the phone, let somebody hear your voice, and you hear their voice. That's a way of connecting also that we tend to forget about. Sometimes just texting, it may not be enough. Just pick up the phone and call somebody and say, how are you? I'm thinking of you today. I love you today. It was interesting as we were doing the meet and greet this morning, I heard so many people say, I love you. I love you. Do we normally say that when we hug or when we shake hands? But looking each other in the eye and saying, I love you, was a different way that we got to connect today. Was a different way that we got to connect. So remembering to call, remembering to text, remembering to, you can write a card. That still works. You can send an email. You can mail a card. We can do all kinds of things to connect with each other. The important thing is for us not to forget each other as we go through this time. Not to forget that we are all connected at the heart space. We can just send out love energy. We can send out love energy in addition to all the other things that we can do to connect with each other. And it is so important because we are a community of connection, remember? So we know how to connect. And we don't have to see each other in the body to connect with each other. And I want us all to remember that we don't know what this week brings. We don't know how things are going to unfold this week. But however they unfold, God is in the midst. However they unfold, God is all there is. However they unfold, we know how to do this thing called life, because life is for living. Right? Yes. So you just say yes. Yes. So life is for living. That's what we are doing now. That's what we're going to continue to do, whether we are here in this place or whether we are watching us online or whether we are wherever it is we are. We know that wherever it is we are, God is. And we know that wherever it is we are, life is unfolding most divinely and most perfectly in God's time and God's way. We know that wherever it is we are, God is all there is. And that we can see God in everything, in every situation, in every circumstance. Because we are revolutionaries. Let's turn within. Taking a deep breath, just knowing that truth, that God is all there is, that God is the only power, that God is the only presence, that God is the only life, that God is the only mind, that God is the only breath, that God is the only. The only. Nothing else, the only. It's God. My life, the life of each person here, the life of us all, that life that's in the midst of everything, that life that always was, always will be, is God. It is from this place of awareness of this truth that I speak this word for each of us this day, speaking a word of healing, speaking a word of wholeness, speaking a word of oneness. As we release and let go of otherness, release and let go of any sense of separation, release and let go of any fear, release and let go of any doubt. And we stand in the knowing that wholeness is right here and right now ours, because God is right here and right now. And so we stand in this wholeness that is our very life right here and right now. And as we stand in this, as we walk in this, the world is healed as a result of our beingness in this world. As we walk through this world and the certainty and the awareness that God is, everything around us is made new, as our lives are made new. I speak a word of health and wellness for this community, of safety and protection for us all, knowing that they're all qualities of God that are revealing themselves in and through and as our lives right now. And so we walk through this time free of fear, free of doubt, free of anxiety, free of separation, we walk through this life in oneness, seeing God in everything, knowing that God is all there is. And this knowing, this awareness sets us free. This awareness heals us all and heals this world. And so I just pause momentarily as I open this circle of prayer so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I'm just knowing that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping them. And for all those who need a prayer anywhere on this planet this day, God is. For all those who have been affected by this virus or whatever name we may call it, by dis-ease of any kind, God is. Healing is happening everywhere because God is everywhere. Thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God. I just allow it to be. And so it is.
Of age, I'm still looking for a dream. A war's already raged for my destiny, but you already won the battle, and you've got great plans for me. Though I can't always see, 'cause I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans, trying to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. When I was just a girl, I thought I had it figured out. My life would turn out right, and I would make it here somehow. But things don't always come that easy, and sometimes I would doubt. 'Cause I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans, trying to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me, and you're free to be you. Sometimes I believe that I can do anything, yet other times I think I've got nothing good to bring. But you look at my heart and tell me that I've got all you see. And it's easy to believe, even though I've got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans, trying to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy. On my own I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. I'm free to be me.
Thank you, Charity. Do you have CDs today? We bought all her CDs. She still doesn't have any more. Thank you very much. Now is our conscious giving time, our offering time. This is the time we give of our tithes and our offerings. And I invite you to participate in this part of the service. We are a tithing community. We invite you to participate in that sacred practice with us by tithing here at CLF. If you're watching us online, if you'll press the donate button, that would be wonderful. You can participate with us also. So the ushers are making their way down, and we're going to sing our new offering song, I Say Yes.
I say yes, 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 yes. When I wake up in the morning and lay my head to rest, I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. Every day of my life I say yes, 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 yes. When I wake up in the morning and lay my head to rest, I say yes. I say yes. I say yes. I say yes to God's will and His way. I say yes, 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 yes. When the Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I agree, and my answer's always yes, yes, yes. When the Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I agree, and my answer's always yes, yes, yes.
Let us now say our offering blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Thank you, ushers. Thank you, Josette Bergeron, who is our song leader today. Yes. So keep checking our website and our newsletter during the week so that you will remain updated on what's happening here at the center and what's happening with regard to any closings or any changes that we may be experiencing here. So we will keep you apprised of what's going on. Let's take a breath. Don't forget we have meditation at noon, Mondays through Thursdays, and we invite you to join us here in the sanctuary. It is silent meditation, and if you can't come in here in the flesh, then come energetically and join us in centering down every day during the week at noon from 12 to 12:30. For our first-time guests, if you will stop at the reception table in the hallway after a service, we have another gift for you out there, and we thank you for coming to be with us today. We hope that you'll come back and see us again soon. With regard to the free cycle, that's happening in Holmes Hall after service. There will be boxes of gloves there you can use if you'd like to handle the different items there. We do have gloves there. And we have hand sanitizers all over the place for you to use if you are mindful and want to practice mindfulness in doing that. So don't forget Free Cycle in Holmes Hall after, and there will be food served after service today in Holmes Hall, fellowship, food, and getting together. I'm not sure about next week. We will let you know and keep you apprised as to what's going to be happening with regard to food service next week. It may be, we may be going to just coffee and tea, I'm not sure yet, but you will know when I know. So let's invite up our practitioners and our ministers who are available for prayer today. And if there's anyone here who would like prayer after service, please stop by and see one of these beings who are here to provide prayer and spiritual mind treatment for you. Don't leave with a heavy heart. Come and see one of them. Or if you just want to celebrate something, just come and see a practitioner after service, and that would be great. So now we're going to welcome our children in. So let's stand for our youth parade as we sing This Big Light of Mine.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for bringing your kiddos. I love it when we have a good group, especially when we have so many exciting things going on. And Tyler was my helper today, and she was fantastic, and she's going to start off with the good news reporting.
Today we learned about how we can pray to God to positive energy and how we can believe that God is in everything and God is in each one of us and that we can calm and be peaceful in everything.
Today we also learned about authenticity. And I just wanted to say that don't let anyone bring you down about who you are instead of being who they are. Be yourself.
And we have these beads and we count to help us know how much they are. Meditation is good for you and it's healthy and I learned how to share with my baby brother.
So at the beginning of the year, the kids set goals, and they picked 3 of our sacred practices to focus on, and one of them is meditation. So we've been all month long spending in some way meditating. And today we learned a japa meditation, and we got mala beads to help us keep count. That's what he was referring to. Thank you.
One other announcement, the Spring Fling is going to be postponed. It will not be held on April 4th. Stay tuned for further developments. We will let you know when a Spring Fling is going to happen, but it's not going to happen on April 4th. I think that's the last announcement that I have, so why don't we stand for our closing prayer treatment, the treatment for supplies in the back of your pew pockets, and we will sing it, we'll read it all together. I am surrounded by a pure spirit, by God the living spirit. My thought is God thought, and it is the law unto that thing whereunto it is spoken. Everything that I do shall be a success. I am led, guided, and inspired by the living spirit of love and of right action. I am compelled to move in the right direction and to always know what to do, where, and how to do it. I am surrounded by right action. I am filled with the consciousness of right action. Right action is success in all that I undertake to do. I am successful in all my undertakings, and I am compensated for all my efforts. I am surrounded by substance, which is always taking the form of supply and always manifesting itself to me in the form of whatever my need may be at the time. I always have an abundance of money and an abundance of whatever it takes to make life happy and opulent. There's a continuous movement toward me of supply, of money, of all that I need to express life, happiness, and action. I have an inner understanding of my place in the universe. I know that it is unique. The divine has not incarnated in anyone else in just the same individual way that it has in me. I am unique and forever individualized. Therefore, I do not need to imitate anyone or to long for the good that belongs to another. All good is now mine and is now manifest in my experience. I do not compete with anyone, for I am and remain forever myself. This self is united with all selves, but is always an individual and a unique self. There is that in me which all people recognize as worthwhile and desirable, and everyone whom I meet loves this self of mine and recognizes its worth. I draw all toward me, and those whom I can benefit and those who can benefit me are irresistibly drawn toward me. I do not strain, will, or coerce. I know. The truth makes me free from the fear of poverty or bondage and emancipates me from the thought of limitation. I see that money, like everything else, must be a spiritual idea, and I know that I have this idea right in my mind at this moment. I shall always have this idea of abundance. It is mine, and I take it. The opportunity for self-expression and compensation is always open to me, and I am at all times compelled to know, accept, and operate upon this opportunity. I have abundance because I am abundance. All that the Father hath is mine, and so it is.
Release and I let go. I let the Spirit